Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video here. So I want to talk about Stephanie. I didn't get to her last week too much. I gave my thoughts a little bit here and there, but I want to talk about this character because she's obviously, I mean, according to the trailer anyways, she's went missing. We also see Eugene waiting to see her. And I mean, he's been waiting for a while. She doesn't show up, and then he's really worried, and then seems to embark on this quest or, I guess, investigation to go and find her, right? Which obviously makes sense. You're going to try and find your loved ones. But what's weird about it is why she went missing and just sort of the nature of it. Everything about it is so weird. This whole Stephanie storyline makes no sense. Who knows what? Why is she missing? You know, if this was a grand scheme by the Commonwealth, and they were planning to do this from the beginning, or they were like, you know what, she knows too much, we're gonna get rid of her. Like how do they know how Eugene's gonna react, and so how are they gonna calm him down and keep him a secret? Are they gonna have to are they gonna threaten him and scare him into silence? Like, I just don't know how they thought this was gonna go, if it was in fact, you know, due to the Commonwealth. And I do believe it is. You know, I do think that Eugene, obviously, he is suspecting them, and I do think Lance Hornsby definitely played a role in all of it. So I want to get into all of that. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you want more Walking Dead content like this. Also, there's a new episode of the podcast if you haven't checked it out yet. The link is down below. We're available on Spotify and also on YouTube. We actually talk about the Stephanie thing a little bit. We talk about the latest in The Walking Dead, get into some of your questions. We talk about Magna a little bit. And we also talk about Last Night in Soho, because that's a movie we just recently watched. So we give our review on that. So yeah, if you're interested, you know, the links are down below. But let's talk about Stephanie here. So, and actually, I want to say this really quick before we get into the Stephanie thing. Danai Gurira is apparently filming Black Panther 2 right now in Georgia. And obviously, they're filming the last 2 or 3 episodes right now of The Walking Dead. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Michonne shows up, right? Like, I do think it is very possible that maybe because she's so close, they're just gonna reach out, you know, text her and be like, hey, do you want to come on the show for a little cameo really quick, because we're filming the last couple of episodes. I mean, she's so close to it, right? And you got to imagine that they already have this party sort of set up for the last couple of days of filming, you know, to get everybody together. I think it makes sense that if Danai Gurira is so close, that she's just gonna go there for the last couple of days of filming to celebrate the ending of The Walking Dead. You know, I mean, the cast are so close. I think Andrew Lincoln's going to show up too, because it's a pretty big deal, right? And I mean, if they're filming there for the next month or two or something like that, I could totally see it happening. So I didn't want to do a separate video on this because I felt like it would be kind of a lot to do. But I just wanted to throw that out there because she is very close. So I think it is actually possible that we do see Michonne return to The Walking Dead. For a, you know, obviously a 1 episode thing. It'll be a small cameo or something like that. But anyways, let's get into the whole Stephanie thing here. So this storyline for me personally has been pretty frustrating, just in the sense that it kind of feels like either 1, this thing isn't properly planned out, or 2, it really, really is. Because I don't know where they're going with this. I don't know who knows what. And the whole thing is very complex. And I'm focusing on it so much because I want to know a lot about what the characters are thinking. Like, if this was a plan that Stephanie, the real Stephanie and the fake Stephanie, made with the Commonwealth, it almost feels like the real Stephanie isn't really that great of a person, because she's kind of planning, you know, to kind of screw Eugene over in that way. Maybe she was forced, but also, I don't think there necessarily was a plan, because she seemed genuinely shocked when Eugene was there, right? Like last season when or no, I guess it wasn't last season, but in part A, when she saw Eugene there, heard his voice, she was actually shocked that whoa, he's here. But it's almost like, you know, they told her to be quiet, and she's sort of forced to be quiet in all of this. So I don't know who knows what. That's just kind of, yeah, that's the whole weird thing. But we'll get into that in a second. First, I mean, obviously with the fake Stephanie, we see a photo of her. She's missing, and that starts because Eugene is waiting for her. They're clearly on a date or something, and she doesn't show up. There's also been several weeks that have passed at this point too. You got to remember, there's supposed to be a big time jump between episode 9 and 10 of I don't know, several weeks. So they've been living at the Commonwealth for quite a while. They've settled into their positions, and then Stephanie she disappears, and then this starts this whole thing with Eugene here. There's this note here. I talked about it before, but Kirsten Acuna actually wrote everything here, and which is just really great to actually read, because it's really hard to read it in the actual shot of the episode. But these are Eugene's notes on Stephanie's disappearance. It says Stephanie was last seen at her address, and then it's obscured on balcony. So obviously Stephanie was on her balcony. It was the last place that, you know, so she was at home, She was in good spirits emotionally and showed no signs of wanting to leave the Commonwealth. Did not show up to work the day of disappearance, which is highly unusual. Work, obscured paperwork was discovered from radio room and Union Station, which indicated desire to change profession. Paper was signed by Stephanie and believed to be, and then it says obscured. So it seems like Stephanie actually wanted to change positions. She didn't want to be in the positions that she was in. So that's interesting. Missing posters with accurate drawing of Stephanie have been placed around the Commonwealth in various high traffic areas and have yielded little to no response. Bald man suspect wearing black was seen exiting Stephanie's residence on day of disappearance, should be investigated further. So, when I look at all this stuff here, it is kind of hard to say. I mean, first of all, when you look at that one thing where it says missing posters with accurate drawing of Stephanie have, yielded no response from the Commonwealth or the residents of the Commonwealth, that's a little interesting because I wonder if she's not really from the Commonwealth then, right? If she was just something that was like thrown in there, she was clearly working with Lance Hornsby and the Milton family. Because if it yielded no response, then it's because she's new to the community and no one knew of her, right? So I do wonder if that is the case, because it does kind of feel like she is a spy. Like, it does actually really feel like that. And then you go to the next part here. It says bald man suspect wearing black was seen exiting Stephanie's residence on day of disappearance. That bald guy, I'm really wondering if, what the hell is his name now? I believe his name is Maxwell Hawkins, actually. Yeah, Maxwell Hawkins, it should be the character. Maxwell Hawkins he works with the Commonwealth. He's a personal assistant of Governor Pamela Milton. So I think it could actually make sense that maybe it was him that went to go visit Stephanie. And then, that afterwards, I guess she went missing. Or maybe that was the whole plan to begin with here, right? And so I do wonder, I think actually that note does, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that note does confirm the appearance of Maxwell Hawkins. So I do think that he'll show up, and he's connected to her disappearance. I think she does know a lot more. And I wonder if she was just shipped off somewhere else, or if she was just sort of like killed or whacked, basically, right, by the Commonwealth, because they want to keep this thing a secret. They don't want, and then I just sort of have all these questions in general. So let's actually go through the things that I'm like, I guess the possible scenarios here. Let's actually try to work this thing out. So one, and I wrote down 3 scenarios here, and I'm going to say which ones I believe aren't really the case. But I do think there's 2 scenarios in which everybody knew what was going on. So one, they knew and they had a plan to learn more about their communities, and afterwards she was moved to another community, so she's safe. I think this is probably the most probable, right? Like, everybody knew what was going on. I believe the real Stephanie, the character played by Margot Bingham, I guess her name could be Max, or maybe they told her to use that name for now. Anyways, I do believe she probably got in trouble, for actually communicating with Eugene and Alexandria, and that the Commonwealth found out what she was doing, because in the comic that actually does happen, where they were supposed to meet at the rail yard, right? And then when they do, the Commonwealth are there. So it's like, well, how the hell did the Commonwealth know that Eugene and them were going there? Right. And I feel like people sort of like lose that right now on the show, because like he went there to go meet Stephanie, but somehow the Commonwealth were there. Right. So how were the Commonwealth there? Well, clearly they overheard their conversations. Right. So the real Stephanie, Margot Bingham, got in trouble, in my opinion. So everyone sort of knows here. And the fake Stephanie thing came out from that. And so that's where I go into my second option here, which is like they didn't know, like the real Stephanie and fake Stephanie made this plan. And when the Commonwealth found out they lied, Stephanie was killed. I feel like that's just not really the case. I do think the Commonwealth, I think they know what's going on. I think Mercer knows what's going on, because when Mercer introduces Eugene to the fake Stephanie, I get that vibe that he knows it's not the real person, but like obviously Eugene has no idea. And then you go to number 3 here, which is they knew the whole time they made this plan. They thought they would be safe, but the Commonwealth had other plans and then killed her. So that's also very similar to the first one. So the way I see it is I do believe the Commonwealth overheard their conversations. The real Stephanie got in trouble in order to protect the Commonwealth, and for security and safety reasons. I think they're like, you know what, we're going to put our own like personal spy here to get really close with Eugene to learn more information about their communities. And then afterwards, we'll just sort of get rid of that spy, whether it's, that they killed her or they just shipped her off to another place within the Commonwealth. Because remember, they have a lot of different communities. It's not just like 50,000 people. in one place. It's spread out everywhere, right? So it's possible she was just shipped off somewhere else. And that's the thing. Like, in that case, Eugene at some point is going to find out anyways. Like, this whole thing in general, I think has just been kind of weird. And like, I don't know where the end game is here, because obviously Eugene wants to be with Stephanie. And then at some point he's going to find out, from the real Stephanie that, oh, you're the real Stephanie. Or is she? Like, is her name Max? Because if her name is Max, then why would she use the name Stephanie unless the Commonwealth knew that she was actually communicating with Eugene? Or like, that's what I mean. Like there's so much mystery here. But I do think like there's some basics that we can like rely on, which is that they originally started talking in season 10 because it just kind of randomly happened. And then eventually I do believe the Commonwealth found out about it. She got in trouble. They set up this whole thing, and then they went there, captured Eugene and tried to learn more information. And then they got this whole fake Stephanie thing. I do believe the fake Stephanie was put there by the Commonwealth. I do believe she's a spy. It's just whether or not she was sort of already there, like she was just a friend of the real Stephanie's or Max, or if she was taken from another community and she was actually just, put there. So there's a lot of weird things here. And I think that's where I am really excited about this whole thing. Because like, that's the thing too, if Margot Bingham's Stephanie like decided to just use her friend's name for whatever, I mean, like what kind of person is she if she's just putting her friend in danger, right? It kind of makes no sense. And I don't know. It's a weird choice, I think, to do this with the Stephanie character. And so I just wonder where Angela King is going with this. I will say it is fun. I'm actually a big fan of it. I just find it so weird and off. And it's like such a crazy mystery. We're not used to mysteries like this, right? Where it's almost like a murder mystery a little bit. At least I'm getting those vibes at least in season 11B from that trailer. It seems like Eugene is going to be doing some detective work. And yeah, I do wonder, if there is going to be some collaboration between him and Kelly and Connie, because obviously they're journalists, or they were beforehand, and they've taken down some powerful people. It kind of feels like all of this is going to be playing a role in just sort of everything, setting up those riots, because there's all this going on. There's going to be some CRM Commonwealth info that comes out, right? So there's a lot of interesting things here. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Post all your thoughts down below. Post your theories on what you think is going on here with Stephanie. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.